right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Biters, the podcast of The Walking Dead, and, well, for the past 6 episodes, Fear the Walking Dead. I'm one of your hosts, Jeff Marsick, and without video this time, on the other side of Skype is Kirk Manley.
And much easier probably for you to do because you can't see me.
We also have, this is actually a really fun episode for us because we actually have a couple guest stars that we're, big fans of. The two hosts of the Walking Naked podcast, Justin and Kelly.
Hey!
Hello.
What's up, guys?
I forgot that you guys always do it with videos, so,
Do you guys release it with video as well?
No.
Oh, God,
We
no.
always talk to each other with videos.
Well, good thing. I'm in my underwear tonight, so
Yeah, I'm
probably
in my
not a
Jamie
good idea.
Jams. Got my Jamie Jams on.
I need some sweet Jamie Jams.
I'm normally looking at Kirk in like a biosuit, all glistening from Purell on his side.
Real glisten.
All right, so here we are. We're wrapped up with Fear the Walking Dead. Episode 6 is come and gone.
yeah. It's kind of sad. I know. I think it would be really awesome if we could have got a Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead every Sunday. Then my life would be awesome.
Well, it'll be a lot better when it's a full season. I mean, the 6 episodes is just getting up some momentum,
Well,
Yeah,
especially
very
since
much
we had
so.
9 days that kind of disappeared in the storytelling here that should have been an episode or 2 or maybe even
Oh, my
3
God.
to kind of fill out.
but he didn't.
You
he
and
didn't waste-
Justin must be buddies on that one.
Oh man, those 9 days. We'll never get those back, and I will always. It'll be like the governor for me. I'm like, where were those 9 days? Bring them back. Yeah, it was very sad. I was going to ask you guys both. The 6 episodes. Did you ever think that they did those 6 episodes with The Walking Dead, and in hindsight, I think sometimes they may be like, dang, we didn't realize we had such a good thing. Maybe we should have done more of these episodes to kick everything off. I would have never thought that they would do another 6-episode short season run like this with such a show that's got this established fan base with The Walking Dead and would easily have gotten the fan base to come over like they did for Fear the Walking Dead. I thought they would have let's roll this out 12 episodes, kick it off, not a 6-episode season like they did.
Or at least 10.
Well,
Yeah.
I would have gone with the 6 episodes if you were going to do something probably not as long in duration and probably a little bit tighter on the outbreak or what caused it. The common complaint about this 6 episodes that it kind of dragged on and we kind of drew out the drama. If you were going to do 6 episodes, I would have expected that it was going to be 6 hours of us on the edge of our chairs as we're, as society starts to crumble and it crumbles fast and you're basically trying to catch up, as it's going along. So I would have thought with the 6 episodes that the speed would have been a little bit faster.
Okay, so that brings up a good question. Did you think that it was kind of a weak season?
I thought it was uneven. Yes. I didn't think that I was expecting more, and I was anticipating that there was going to be more than what they gave us.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was kind of surprised. Now I was, at least they finished off very strongly in my opinion. But prior to that, I was kind of like, dang, come on, y'all.
Yeah.
We've had a big build up for this.
Right.
I think part of the disappointment is that they've had 5 seasons of the main show, and it took a little while to get its gears greased and get it moving fast. You know what I mean?
No, it did not. I disagree with you completely on that.
We had this. I think we had this argument on our podcast yesterday because we had a listener that said that overall they liked the story much better for Fear the Walking Dead, through its first 6 episodes compared to The Walking Dead. Although that individual said the characters were much better in The Walking Dead, the main show, as opposed to the Fear the Walking Dead characters. I think we both disagreed. We like the story much more in The Walking Dead, those first 6 episodes. For me, it was all about Shane. I think Shane really drove those first 6 episodes.
The point I was trying to make, though, was there was plenty of good stuff in the first couple seasons. There was also some slow points like the farm and stuff like that. But they worked all of that out. They went through a bunch of showrunners, and they really got in. I mean, by the 3rd season, they've got into a real groove in how to tell their stories and do it in a real, competent and action-packed way. And I think the assumption was that this series would take off with all of that knowledge and all that experience.
Yeah, I agree.
And it seems as if instead this is starting off just like a new show, any new show does, where it's still trying to find its sea legs and feel out how it's good. The writer room is not working yet and all that, you know what I mean? And that I think was a shocker a little bit.
And I wonder how much of that revolves around the fact that we had such high expectations for it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
If it truly was a standalone show, would we have gone, this is awesome? I mean, it was awesome anyway, but I'm just saying.
I think and that's a good point, and I think that if it was a standalone show, I think viewers would have been much more engaged because it would have been you probably would have felt you probably would have felt that it dragged a little bit, and there was a little more of the human drama as opposed to how society crumbles and all that stuff. But you probably would have bought into it a little bit more. As it was, if you didn't have The Walking Dead basically setting the tone and the pace for everything.
Yeah.
Just wait till Star Wars and watch the internet just go up in flames, basically, because everybody be like, "Oh my gosh, this is the worst. This is so bad." But it's because we all have these like sky high expectations, and I mean, for me, I keep trying to put those in check. I was just talking to a buddy on Twitter. I try not to watch any previews anymore of stuff. I'm bad about it with anything that I already like, and that's why The Walking Dead, it was so hard to not like get any news on it. Every little 10-second teaser that came out, you watched it a million times trying to gather some bit of information. And yeah, I definitely think it made it where all of us diehard Walking Dead fans were like, it's just not doing it as much as The Walking Dead did. So, because I agree with you, Kirk. I thought they were going to hit the ground running. They would have ironed out all those kinks that they had, that they experienced early on The Walking Dead.
I think a big part of the reason it's gone through this growing pain, and why it also was only 6 episodes is budgetary, and I think that's why they did the 9-day time jump. Because the scope of what they would have to show in terms of the amount of people on the screen, the amount of effects, all that kind of stuff would have been massive.
Okay, let me ask you this though: why would they have a budgetary issue when we're doing a companion series to the biggest cable television show that's currently on? I would have thought they would have thrown just a shit ton of money at it. Do you guys cuss on your podcast? Because I just did.
We do now.
Apparently we do now.
We do now. Yay.
I agree with you, but at the same time, executives and corporations don't think like that. They're it's all about the money, and they wanted to first see if this would work. Nothing really of this kind of spin-off has been done before that I can think of.
Mork and Mindy.
Well,
wow, you're really going deep there.
I was trying to pull one out.
Probably one of the closest things would be something like Angel that spun off from Buffy.
Yes, that's true. You're right.
But
Mork and Mindy for sure.
That, but it seemed like they wanted to hedge their bets and make sure it was going to work, because it was picked up for a second season before it even aired.
Yeah.
But I also think too that you can get away with this because this is the prequel to it, and zombies basically don't exist. So, and this is before everything starts. So the walkers aren't by the hundreds of thousands; they're not by the truckloads as we see in The Walking Dead. So you can still, it's basically just for all intents and purposes, it's Southland or it's a CSI episode. So you don't really have a lot to spend budget on.
Well, if you did that 9 days, though, and you would have to show lots of military confrontations and huge battle scenes, like, in World War Z, the Battle of Yonkers, you'd have to, and that's what I think everybody was hoping we would see. And I think that's also where some of the frustration comes from.
I thought I kind of expected more of a 28 Days Later is kind of what we would be getting from this show, the prequel and everything. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I just looked it up because I was curious how much their budget was. It was $8 million for that movie. Now, granted, these are 6 episodes and everything, but Yeah, it just didn't seem like it would.
Doesn't that, if I remember right, that's more like the main series? Doesn't he wake up, or he's brought into this after it's already happened?
It's a month after. It is a month after, yeah.
Yeah.
But you're still seeing a lot of that stuff going on as far as like, from what I can remember. It's been a long time.
I know
since I've
it's
seen the
so
movie.
bad because I can't remember. I've got
You
the
just
notes
watched
here.
it.
I just watched it. I know, but
Yeah.
I'd have to look at my notes.
Yeah, but I guess it would be a cross between World War Z and something like that, because I was just thinking more on the sense of I expected this to be somewhat small scale, even though it was in LA. I don't know why I thought that. They said it in LA for a reason, because that's a city that it's going to spread rapidly because of the population density.
Right.
So yeah, you're right that it would be more like a World War Z in that aspect. But I thought it was going to be more of like the quiet, creepy factor that we got in 28 Days Later, which didn't have to spend a lot of money, but was scary as hell because of just they had some extremely intense moments in that movie. So love that movie. You guys have all seen it too.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I was like, it's really good. Yeah, I don't know. It is weird how they how some of the things in the episode didn't work out all that well. Like, even in this episode, and we had a lot of people pointed out to us, and that scene where the walker goes into the helicopter.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
he.
Celtic So's favorite scene.
yeah,
Thomas.
yeah, it was.
Okay, so that wasn't really, if you think about it, the dude was not yet a walker. It was a human being that had just gotten bit, and he was freaking out.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'd freak out that hard. To go right
you
to a
would,
helicopter.
you would too.
He had
That's scary.
he had half of his throat ripped out.
Yeah, exactly.
Spewing blood at a pace that I'm surprised he was even still walking.
That's
And
true.
I'm sure
he was
dizzy,
screaming.
wasn't seeing at all.
Yeah, and he was screaming, help me, help me.
Well, see, I would have already fallen over at that point and gave up. That's how I know I wouldn't have made the helicopter, because I would have just gave up.
But that was so awesome, though. I loved that.
I loved it too. I think that was a great part.
Me too.
It was funny. I laughed. I don't know if I was meant to, if it was meant for a laugh, because I
Yeah,
know
I'm not
Liza
sure
got that.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure I put that in there for.
I think it was meant to be a tip of the hat to the Miro Dawn of the Dead scene.
Yeah.
Where the pilot, one of the helicopter pilots, is gassing up the helicopter, and the zombie is slowly lurching towards him from behind, and he doesn't see it. And at the last second, the propeller takes off its head. Yeah, so I think that's what they were, just because Nicotero likes to.
Yes, he does. He likes his
He
homages.
likes to pay tributes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do any of you guys know how much work that he did on this show? Do you know if he was heavily involved?
Yeah, I think he's doing all the special effects, just like the show.
I wasn't sure about that, if he was doing the same amount or not. So
yeah, I think he's running that as well. I don't know if he's like on set all the time, or if he's got people that but I think so. I think that I remember reading that. Do you know, Jeff?
No, I'm actually looking it up real quick here. I don't know what the extent of his involvement is, because I know this is basically I thought it was basically Erickson's baby.
Yeah,
well, he does. He's an executive producer also.
Right, he's the showrunner.
Right,
but
no, I mean Nicotero's executive producer.
Oh, right. Yeah, because I've seen promo videos and background videos from Fear that show him talking about how they're handling the zombies differently, and all that stuff.
That's
right.
right.
I think he's overseeing it. He probably has people under him that are day to day on the sets, and but following his direction and stuff. But
you would think by now he would have some protege or something.
Oh, I'm sure he's got it. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
he's got some huge bags under his eyes, so I think he's doing a lot.
He's probably doing a lot of work.
God bless his heart.
Yeah.
We often start off by talking a little bit about the title of the episode.
Mm-hmm.
And what and what our thoughts are on that. Do you guys have any opinions on what the good man meant?
Yes, we do. We do have opinions
Kelly,
on that.
what do you got?
Well, I think it really was. It was not just one man in particular. I think it was all the men on the show. Well, or at least a few of them. Like one of the things I pointed out to Justin was like Chris. Chris really kind of stepped up in this episode. The way he was protective of Alicia, and I mean, he got cold cocked huge because he was trying to protect her. Nick, he really became a good man by trying to be a little less selfish and tell his mom to go, it'll be all right, it's okay. I'm gonna get eaten on this side of the door, but you can take off, it'll be all right. Yeah. And then of course Travis, whether or not, I guess, whether you feel like he became a good man or a bad man, that I guess that's a matter of opinion, but he's a good man to have around now.
Yeah. He's not gonna. He doesn't seem like he's gonna get in the way as much as he was before with his want and desires for everything to be okay, even though it's not okay. For me, the good man was more so like the opposite, and it was the fall of the good man, and not only for Travis. I think that's the the obvious one is Travis, but also for Daniel as well. And I mean, I know that's. We've seen that he, we know he's not a good man, but I think this is the episode where Ophelia she's basically not blind to it anymore. So there's no more, this facade of a good man from Daniel, from anybody. Like no more Ophelia, no more anybody else in the group. So not only Travis losing his good man persona, but Daniel for sure. So yeah, I mean, I thought it was a really cool title. I mean, we got a lot of that with The Walking Dead, where, the titles had these like deeper meanings and everything. And I don't feel like that. I mean, I have to go back to all the titles and everything, but I don't feel like we've gotten as many deep meanings, like where you can have those like deep thoughts by Jack Handy moments or anything.
You don't think Cobalt was deep?
No, even though if we had that name for a year basically that it was called Cobalt, but yeah, that one was not quite as deep as the Good Man. But what about you guys?
What do you think, Jeff?
Well, it's funny because what Kelly says, that's what I was thinking. Talking with other people, everybody pings on. Well, the Good Man is about Travis's downfall and. It's basically, he's been a good man for this entire arc and all that stuff. But watching the episode, like Kelly said, it applies to basically everybody else in there. I mean, look at Strand, for instance. Like, first of all, I think that Strand, Coleman Domingo, the actor, in 6 episodes, this guy comes on in, the second to last one, and for me, he's basically stole the show. He's the most interesting, fascinating character for me on this show. And you've got a guy who's basically, he's locked in a cage, and he's got I don't know necessarily a sinister side to him, but he's got a dark side to him because of what he did with Doug last week. And then, he sits there, and when all the chaos is going on, he says, "You embrace the madness," and he walks out, frees him and Nick, and they walk out, leave everybody else in the cages. So clearly not a good guy, but yet what does he do? He leaves, and I thought that the turning point for Strand was going to be when he realizes that he lost his ride, and I thought he was going to keep going out the door or go somewhere else and leave Nick on his own, but the two of them, still stay together. So that good man appears with him. It also appears with Daniel because of the extent of things that he'll do for his family. You mentioned Nick already, Chris. So for me, as I was watching it and keeping the title in my head, I saw it applying to to basically every male character on the show.
I think I agree, and I would add also to Strand is that Strand ends up actually saving them. Because who doesn't think that going to the desert was a pretty stupid idea?
Oh, yeah.
I think we talk about that when you came on, Kirk? I feel like we were like, bit. What? The desert? This doesn't make sense.
He's the one that redirects them and then is going to bring them on his boat, most likely. So essentially, he's basically saved their lives and their hides. So I would add that as well to Strand's good man transformation. I found myself in Kelly, you're in your camp as well. I would add that it was also not only the men characters, but a lot of the main characters. I think the doctor really changed. There was it's like the episode was really about a transformation.
Right.
Where people were finally having to accept the new, paradigm of this world, and therefore good people, male or female, had to put the priority on survival and on life and on supporting each other. And, she sends everybody out. She tells them to go get, and save themselves, as opposed to
save yourselves while I bolt everybody else in the head.
including herself, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Please no. I hope she didn't.
So I hope she didn't too. I've got some points on that as well. But I was kind of in Kelly's camp and Jeff's camp on that for the name of the episode. But Justin, I like your theory. I like your theory a lot, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think it's a good observation. And I think there's no reason why it can't also have been that too.
Did they say anything about the title? Like when on The Talking Dead, I didn't catch it.
No, they didn't. Okay. I think they focused a lot on the fact that this was, the transformational episode for Travis. And they talked about the fact that, which I thought was interesting because I don't know if you guys voiced a concern, but Jeff and I have talked about the frustration we've had with, what is it going to take for Travis to kind of, get with the program. And when he went up on the roof in episode 4 and made the connection that, the soldiers were killing innocent people out there that were calling for help, that I thought that would tip the iceberg,
Yeah.
But it didn't. And he was right back with the soldiers, asking them for help and relying on them to go down to bring him down. And, and then they want him to shoot the gun and everything. And then what they were saying on The Talking Dead, though, was that the way the script was written multiple times, they had him doing some, changing earlier. Like he was going to shoot the gun and he was going to kill the zombie in the script. And then they pulled back and said, no, let's wait longer. And then there was another scene too, where he was going to, make the switch and everything, but they really wanted to hold back and put it all in that finale.
I get you. That's interesting. I mean, this episode was weird to me too, because Travis's character, he was kind of in the background. It seemed like throughout the first 5 episodes, because at first I thought the show was it was going to be about Travis. I know that Kim Dickens, she's a fantastic actress, and her character of Madison is very strong-willed in the first, probably I guess the first 2 episodes and then on. But it was weird how kind of made a shift in this episode, and now I don't know. Next season, is it going to be more centrally focused on Travis, like it is with Rick? Or is it going to kind of go back and forth between him and Madison? So I don't know.
I kind of hope.
I was going to say I don't think it's going to be just him.
No,
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think it's. I
don't think so either.
Madison.
I think they're going to work on trying to bring the two of them together to be more of a unified voice. I think the first season was really about how they were approaching this whole situation both in different ways, and they each kind of were adjusting to it in a different way. And I think they're kind of on the same page now,
Well, and you have to think about, I don't know what your relationship life has been like for anybody except for, obviously, I know Justin's. But if you're going through the family issues that they're going through with the recent split ups and the blending of families, and crap is already bad enough as it is, and then you add the end of the world to it, you're already kind of ticked off. So I could see that. I don't know. I don't know that I would have reacted as nicely in some ways that they did, and I was kind of perturbed with Travis because he seemed like he got early on that he got the issue, immediately that, these people were infected and they were bad. And then he kind of shifted.
Right.
I don't know if it was episode 3 that it seemed like he went backwards.
It was pretty early on. I mean, because he was the one that saw everything at the church, and then he just kind of took a back step for some reason, and because he initially, he was like, this is some crazy stuff that's going on here. We've got to do something about this, and then he did take a little back step to go back to it's okay that dude just got up after I ran him over, or Nick ran him over 5 times. Nothing really happened. So it was weird how he did.
My neighbor is eating my dog, but no big whoop.
He's hungry. It's cool. We all get hungry every once in a while.
Pass the ketchup.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Oh man, I've got to mention The Martian again. I keep talking about The Martian everywhere I go, but there's a scene involving ketchup in The Martian Kelly, you must
haven't
watch
seen
this
it, I
movie
know.
because you're gonna because immediately my girlfriend looked over at me and she's like, "Oh my God, that's just like you."
Justin put
Because
ketchup
I love
on turkey and ham and
exactly,
everything.
fish, and I
Yeah.
mean anything, paper. If I got to eat
Yeah.
paper, I'm gonna put ketchup
Yeah.
on it. Yeah, I love ketchup.
Could I have some
Me and Matt
pizza
Damon.
and ketchup? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's delicious.
Jeff, did we lose you, Jeff?
No, I can't get a word in edgewise. It's just entertaining.
Sorry.
No.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, Jeff, it's going to be hard with Justin anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But then you add two others.
No,
Hey, that's right. I have my
Kirk.
adult beverage. It's I'm good. I'm good.
I know, me too. I'm just sitting here losing my train of thought more and more as we go along.
Jeff, let's get into the good. What did you see was good?
All right, so my goods were I like the hospital scene. A couple parts of it. One is I like the scene with Dr. Exner. So one of I've always been kind of on the fence with her because in when we first meet her, she seems like she's got she's a doctor, but yet she seems like she's got a sinister side to her. She's got motive. She's got ulterior motive, something else that she's planning, that she's involved in. And this was, so I've not really had a connection with her, which I've said before is unfortunate because I find the actress very attractive. So it's tough for me. But this
with you.
But this episode, when she's there in the hospital and when she's calling for that Chinook to come in and get everybody out of there, and they're not coming, and she's out on the landing, and she's looking at the helicopter, and it was almost palpable where you could just see that she's just like, she's been drinking the Kool-Aid of the military, basically bailing them out and, being the backstop for her and the hospital and her patients that she's in charge of. And it's about to go away, and you just see her face and her attitude and everything fall when she tells Liza to leave. I mean, that was very well. I thought that was very well done, and I thought it was a really good. Not only just great acting, but it was very well scripted for that part. Strand, again, the man is he's a comment. I have to back up a second and say that I'm really pissed off, Kirk, that last week it went through my head as we were talking about Strand and Nick sitting in the cage. It went through my head and I didn't say it, but the two of them, when Strand was sitting next to Nick, reminded me of, swear to God, it did, reminded me of John Travolta and, what's his face, in Pulp Fiction, the two of them.
Samuel Jackson?
Yes.
Samuel Jackson.
And I was like, it's like the Pulp Fiction, those two guys. And somebody brought it up on Facebook. I think it was Laura Will Swink. Was like, come on, guys, like Pulp Fiction. I was like, oh my God, that's right. I had that thought.
Well, it was the tyranny of good men or tyranny of bad men or something like that.
Well,
that whole speech.
Yeah, he just had that speech, and he was just, just dialed it in. So Strand, I really liked. I liked that, that he had the agenda. I really thought, like I said, when they go walking into the one section and they see the zombie eating the one soldier, and Strand's like, crap, that guy was my ride. I thought he was leaving Nick. And I was like, oh, that's predictable. But he ended up coming back, and he takes him out to that. I want to know what this guy's background is, because that was a fat pad that he took them to.
The view was just so gorgeous.
Yeah, right. And he
has some really great suits.
Oh my gosh, yes.
As a side note, the house that they shot that in was the same house that was in Entourage, the movie Entourage, and I guess Turtle buys that house or owns that house. So there's a whole bunch of parties in it, and I haven't seen Entourage, but it's a pretty popular house, I guess.
You didn't mention or miss anything. The Entourage movie it was not good, and I'm a huge fan of the show.
Yeah.
I
the
loved
show
it back in the day.
Awesome.
Yeah, it just wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. But again, those expectations, I guess they get you. But I do remember that house. Yeah, they had a huge party there in the movie and everything. So I didn't recognize it right off the bat, but that's pretty cool.
Let's see. I like what Abigail portends for, or basically foreshadows for season 2. Kirk, and you and I have talked about how basically everything we've seen in the zombie genre so far happens on land, and
Right.
the fact that we're going to be on the boat now and go into different ports, and you would think that that's probably the easy way to, it's an easy escape, right? You pull into a port, well, it's infected, back it up, and let's go somewhere else. So I think that makes season 2 pretty interesting. I like the fact that we finally got Walker action here. That was something that I'm all about the human condition and exploring characters and all that, but I think that it was good, especially in a finale, to have that horde show up and the overrunning of the hospital, and basically, if for no other reason, but just to make our characters finally see these things up close and personal. They've seen them in various states, but they've never really seen them. You had your curious neighbor, banging up against your wood fence. You saw all the people that the military had mowed down. Well, you saw your neighbor eating a German Shepherd. That was odd, but you've never really seen them in this, up close and personal, and so many of them. So I think that was a very important part in the evolution, the development of the characters, to actually be confronted by it.
They did a nice job too with when they were just entering in to the compound, and Madison stops and for a second looks at the horde crashing at the gate, and there is that realization of I think she says something like, "Oh my God," they've never seen any of that, like you're saying. So that was good, and they didn't shy away from it. They made it part of the experience that the characters were having. They didn't just go into it all fine. They were shocked by that.
Yeah, the whole. So for me, the hospital had 2 parts to it. It had Strand and Nick doing their running around and getting caught behind the wall, behind those doors in the one part, and then there was the next part, which was basically everybody all together escaping through the kitchen and finally getting out. And I thought that was the music was great, and it was very well shot, and it was very tense. And then the other thing I liked that was just spooky and haunting. And if you go back and you look at history, you look back at especially the El Salvadoran War and other war incidents, atrocities, when they're coming out of the hospital, and you just see that it wasn't so much the scene at ground level where you see all those bodies that had been burned and basically the pile of cremation, but it was when they did the overhead shot and you saw that bulldozer sitting next to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was just that really just cued in how bad the situation's gotten, and what the military or what the extreme actions that you had to do once you were dealing with infected bodies.
Right.
That scene was like I said, seeing Ophelia and Daniel stand next to it, and Ophelia starts to cry. Yeah, that's tough. But then when they pulled back, and you just saw the enormity of that pile, and I think there was another one in the background too that you were just like, holy crap, this thing has gone bad. Yeah. So those were my goods.
I wanted to ask you guys really quickly because I'll forget later on. Maybe I'm sure we're going to probably touch on Abigail a little bit more. But we had a listener, Mo. She was asking us some questions about. Mo. She has some fantastic stuff. She said, wondering, she's curious about Abigail and the naval presence. Like, do you think is that something that we're going to run into? Because we still don't know,
Oh, absolutely.
These 6 episodes, some of us thought we were going to get like the origin of the virus. Kirkman has been adamant. He's like, you'll never know,
right,
the origins of this virus and everything. But I still thought they might be sneaky and like, kind of give us little tidbits and hints and stuff about where the virus came from. So for me, I'm wondering, say they do get an Abigail in season 2, do they run into, people that are in the Navy? And are they going to be infected even though they've been out on the ocean away from everything? And I guess the other second question is, all these soldiers were going somewhere. Where were they going?
Right.
Were they going to boats as well?
Right. Well, if you played the Walking Dead season 1 video game, I mean, that was the whole push was to get to what's his name's boat. crap. What was the buddy's name?
Kenny.
Kenny's boat. Yeah.
Yeah, Kenny's boat.
Yeah, so Kenny had the bright idea too that you just get out onto the ocean, and that's where you're going to be safe away from all of this. So that was my immediate thought when I saw what Abigail was it's Kenny's boat.
Yeah, Kenny's got a sweet boat. If you've ever played the game, I did not picture Kenny with a boat like that.
No.
I'm picturing a pontoon boat that Kenny had.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Well, I might be biased, but and it just might be because of my background, but I would say that probably the Navy would be infected, but not the Coast Guard. Just putting it out there.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think you're going to have pirates. I think you're going to have other stranded, boats and survivors.
Oh my God, it's going to be like Waterworld.
I was just about to say that. I was like, are we going to get water?
Please, God, don't make it like Waterworld.
Could have cruise ships.
It's paper. It's paper.
And I think you will have the Navy. And remember, even though they've been away, whatever this is, it now happens to everybody when they die.
Right.
Yeah.
So if anybody dies on any of those ships, they're coming back. And, it wouldn't be hard for an outbreak to take place, So,
because we do have the little, the vignettes, in the commercials or the little webisodes or whatever they're calling those with the zombies on a plane.
Yes, correct.
Yeah. So did you guys watch the first one?
Yes.
Yeah. What did you think?
Jeff, did you watch it?
I haven't watched it yet, but go ahead.
Oh, I watched it. I liked it. I thought it was good. I actually thought it did a better job of building tension in 1 minute than a number of the full-length Fear the Walking Dead episodes.
Okay, let me just ask you this, and I don't mean to be mean, but was that not the ugliest stewardess in the history of stewardesses? I mean, she was just not attractive. She looked evil.
Yeah, she looked.
Well, have you ever flown Delta? I mean,
maybe it was a Delta flight.
Yeah, no, I thought it was good. I'm looking forward to seeing more of them.
Yeah, it's going to be tough watching it week to week, though. I mean, that because a minute and 26 seconds, and I was just like, we didn't really get anything.
yeah.
And it's going to be for the entirety of The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe you're getting one per episode.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's gonna be tough, but it was good. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I'm all for we're getting zombies on a plane and zombies on a boat. I mean, these are like our two dreams, right?
Yeah.
So it should be great next season.
I got to ask you guys though. Does anybody else have the problem that I'm having with the way that the advertisers are trying constantly now to when they're advertising on their shows incorporate zombies into their Again, the last thing I want to see in a Subway commercial is zombies.
I love it. I'm sorry, I just love it.
What about Kelly's a sucker for all things zombies.
What about the KFC when they're eating KFC?
I was like, I mean, I haven't been an extra on a lot of shows, but I'm like, that's BS right there.
They're not
giving
y'all.
you anything. So. Maybe the zombies get something, but I don't know.
I bet
KFC, I don't know about that. That looked pretty good. It looked pretty tasty.
All right, Kirk. Well, actually, let's go to Kelly. What were your goods on the show?
Okay, so my goods, were one, which is kind of a good and a bad all rolled into one, and that was just the parallels of this episode with our season 6 of the Walking Dead. I mean, just the music, the setting, because in The Walking Dead, the season 1 finale, we had the CDC and Dr. Jenner, and in this one we had Dr. Exner, and both of them were kind of, kind of like, there's nothing we can do. You can't escape this. Go ahead and kill yourself now. So I actually loved that.
Yeah, that was great.
Are these not the worst medical people like you've ever seen? Like, we're dealing with a zombie apocalypse, and it's like you said, the two doctors are just kind of like, well, Exner. I mean, I kind of get it with her because she was kind of like, we're screwed, But even still, you contrast that with like a show with like say ER, where it's like, no, damn it, we can save everybody no matter what happens, like till the very end. I think ER even had a helicopter crash and a doctor lost an arm and he was still trying to do CPR, Right. But this one you've got Liza who's like, got bit, put me down.
Yeah. It was pretty rapid how they made the transitions, and I think I don't remember if we touched on that in our little instant cast, whatever we called it this week, but it definitely felt really, really swift how Liza was just like, yep, I'm done, see you later, and Dr. Exner as well.
Well, and that was actually my one bad thing that I wrote, and I know we haven't got to the bad yet, but hey, I'm a guest, so I can do whatever the hell I want. But the fact that Liza this early in the infection decides that she can't recover or survive from this bite. How does she know that at this point?
Exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah, and I mean, she had just told Ophelia that, you've got shot in the shoulder, but don't worry about it, babe. You're going to be fine. You're going to survive this.
That's right. Yeah.
And then she goes and asks, the boyfriend's new squeezy, or the husband's new squeezy, shoot me. So I thought that was a little hurried.
It is weird because, I mean, in The Walking Dead, this is, I mean, I don't know how long, I don't know if we ever know the exact timeline, but let's just say it's, at the very minimum, it's 2 months away from the timeline that Fear the Walking Dead is going on. How is it that they don't know to, or they're just like, actually they don't even know that they die, right? They don't know that in The Walking Dead until very a while after Dr. Jenner tells Rick and everything, and then he lets everybody know.
Yeah, but which is just way off into the farm before he tells everybody that.
Exactly, and it's really crazy. She knows automatically and everything. You would think she's like, all right, I'm going to hack. Well, it was pretty much what?
It was
her chest?
It was her torso.
Oh, her torso.
Yeah, so I mean, right. Yeah, so I mean,
I guess you can't hack half the your body off. That's not going to work out too well.
But I guarantee I am waiting, at least 24 hours to see what happens. Do I get a little bit of a fever first?
Exactly.
Yeah. Can I take some Tylenol and feel better? Yeah. I mean, that's the other thing too, is that it's doctors have such a they basically deep throat the Hippocratic oath, right? And it's like, I will continue until my dying breath to save humanity and do all this great stuff. And yet when it comes to, at least for these two shows, it's like as soon as someone gets afflicted or as soon as they contract the virus, or they've gotten bit, it basically looks like they're terminal, they immediately just give up. I wasn't so sure, because all of you guys are all on board with Dr. Exner, and I realize Sandrine Holt is hot. I mean, I get that, but come on,
I would take Madison.
Well, okay, and Madison keeps fighting.
Kirk likes the feisty ones.
Yeah.
Slap the crap out of their kids. Get in line.
Come on.
Me next.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! But I again, I mean, there was another one that I really thought jumped the gun when she put every one of those people down. And that one guy that they showed towards the end, the patient that she had bolted in the head, he was hot and he looked fine. So that was one of my bads. But as far as overall, I loved this episode. I got chills. I got the same kind of feelings that I get when I watch The Walking Dead, which I was just thrilled to finally feel that way about this show. So there was so many good things. I'll just finish with my last thing that I loved the most, and that was just the scene at the end when Madison is comforting Travis, and we've got the water, the surf rushing in, and just the way that they're both just so tore up and just he's bawling like crazy, and she's comforting him, and I don't know. I just
in their twisted their twisted from here to eternity moment.
Yes, exactly. I mean, it would have been super fun if they would have rolled around making out.
I think it was, the symbolism was a little bit of like, there's no washing away what he just did or what had to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way to wash that clean.
Man, I tell you, the symbolism that you come up with every week on the show, like,
No.
it's unbelievable.
Geez, I wasn't going to go that deep with it. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah,
You know?
like, this is pretty neat. Yeah,
Well, there's a
whatever
fine
you
line
said.
between symbolism and bullshit.
Yeah.
And you cross it every week. Hold on a second. You haven't used the word juxtaposition yet, so I'm sure that's coming. We got some time yet.
I think I got paradigm in though once already.
You
Oh
did
my
get
God!
Paradigm
I
in.
heard Paradigm at least 3 times last week.
I caught that from Justin. I blame Justin.
Oh man! I was going to ask you guys what was before I get to the good, what was the music? What was that song? Do any of you guys know at all the ending song? Because it reminded me so much of the songs that they use, like whenever they use. Oh man, what is his name? I have him on my phone. He's one of the more popular songs that's on The Walking Dead. Come on, guys, help me out here.
Lee wins.
No, I mean he's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Dang it. Well, anyways, I've got it on my phone. I'd have to look it up, and I can't even figure out how to get to my music on my phone, apparently. But anyways, okay, so I'll get to my good, and maybe I'll come back to that randomly when I figure out what the name of that song
Oh well,
was.
I'll figure it out while you're doing it because I've.
There you go, teamwork.
Okay. All right.
Okay, my good. I'm in total agreement with Jeff. Strand. I absolutely love this character. For me, I think he's exactly what this show needs because the show was kind of floundering a little bit before he came onto the show, and I think he just injects all sorts of awesome new life into the show. And I don't know why he reminds me of this. I don't know if you guys have talked about it, but he reminds me a lot of Shane, of that type of character for the show, not only because I think that he's got the potential to be very polarizing with the characters on the show.
Didn't you think Daniel was going to be the Shane?
At first, I think I did. I think I did. But I mean, he's not as charismatic though. Like,
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
right.
I don't even. To be honest, I don't even know where they go with Daniel's story from here on out.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree,
I think
agree.
the most. I mean, he's already had the most interesting run. They kind of peaked a little too early, I think, with Daniel, but they still can do fun stuff with him. I still think that there's going to be a rift between Travis and Daniel. I mean, you saw in this episode, Travis, he wasn't taking flack from Daniel anymore. I mean, he straight up pushed him against that truck like he was nothing. But yeah, Strand for me, I think he's going to be a fan favorite. But I also think he's going to. I think that he's going to divide the group ultimately. I mean, I'm all on board that he's going to be a bad guy, that he's like the ultimate villain going forward. I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you why I feel that way because he's honestly been pretty nice. I don't know. I feel like I'm pulling a Michonne right now with the governor, like early on in season 3 when he was like super nice to her.
You give me some clothes and a place to sleep. I fucking hate you.
Yeah, I hate you. Yeah.
Yeah, but hold on. Justin, just remember, he's a black male, and Kirkman's in charge, so Strand will be dead by the end of season 2.
Yes, he will.
That's very true. Yeah, it's very true. Or he'll go to like if there's a little baby on the on the show. Hey, hold this kid over here. Yeah, I'm actually going back and watching season 5 again, and I forgot how much that annoyed me the first 3 episodes where I mean he just kept having to hold Judith over and over again,
and he wanted to. Yeah,
he's like, all right, give me Judith, I'll take her. But yeah, Strand, awesome, my favorite character on the show, I think, bar none. So I'm excited to see what bar none, my most favoriteest, best character.
Bar none.
Is it barn as in like a horse barn or?
I think it's exactly, bar none.
Barn none.
Yeah. That's my redneck coming out of me, I think. But yeah, that's my good.
That's
Moving
it.
on.
That's your
Did we
good.
embarrass you
That's
too
it.
much?
That's
All right.
it. No, I mean, for me, I mean, we'll get into some other things that I thought was. I am confused. The good, the bad, and the ugly. The bad is still good though.
I know.
Or it can be bad.
Right.
Ugly
And
is
the ugly can be good too, right?
right. The ugly can be good or bad.
The ugly is like depending on how drunk you are in the bar at night.
I know, exactly.
Ugly can still be good.
Correct.
Okay, I gotcha.
Good is good, bad is bad, and ugly is evil.
Either way.
And ugly's up to
gotcha.
it's subject to your judgment.
All right. Yeah, that's my good though. I'll let you guys speak now.
Kirk, what do you got?
I thought that the opening sequence with the moonlit LA burning and the music that they chose, it felt epic.
It was beautiful, wasn't it?
It was epic. It was awesome. It was like a movie. It was fantastic, and it accomplished in one shot, what a good portion of what we missed in those 9 days. You know what I mean? For me.
Exactly. Amen. I'm high-fiving you.
And so that I thought was good. I'm with Jeff. I thought the whole failed evac at the hospital was amazing and realistic and heart-wrenching, like when she's watching the Chinook, say we're evaluating, and then they like pull away and fly away, and she knows, it's all over. That was just heart-wrenching. Well done. I'm glad that they didn't show the doctor dying, even though they implied that she's going to bolt herself, because I'm hoping, my fingers are crossed, that we're going to get a dual storyline next season, that we'll have them on the boat, but then we're going to have some people on land. And maybe we'll get Dr. Strand teaming up with Tobias.
Or Exner, Dr. Exner.
I'm sorry, Exner. Sorry, what did I say?
Dr. Strand, but
Dr. Strand, that would even be better.
But we don't. Hey, we don't know. I mean, that's a fat Pat. He could be.
He could be a doctor.
So the Exner and Tobias would be awesome.
Dr. Exner is going to be Fear the Walking Dead's version of Morgan.
Oh yeah, could be.
And I kind of thought that maybe Tobias would be the Morgan.
Yeah, I think Tobias is definitely coming back next season. And if he wasn't planned to, I think based on the amount of fan reaction to him, they'll bring him back. I was glad that we lost a main character. I thought Liza getting bit was awesome. I went back when my second viewing and paid a little bit more attention to that battle that's in the kitchen. I think it's in a kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And there's definitely, you could see where that took place. They didn't show, but she's on the ground, the zombie's on top of her, and you could tell that, that's probably where it happened. But it just made the show more authentic to have, to lose a character. We know from the main show that, that's what keeps you on edge. You never know who's going, except Daryl, of course, or Rick.
At least that's my hope, that they never go.
Let's see. We kind of guessed that that the request of Maddie for Liza to kill her if she turns would end up being twisted at the end and reversed.
Wait, hold on a second. Wait.
And it was.
Wait. Did we get a prediction right?
Yeah, we can't really take credit for it because then it turns out the twist they did was Travis is the one who ends up doing it. And we didn't see that coming. So ultimately, no. But we did.
That's the closest we've ever come to having a prediction.
That's pretty good. You guys predicted that Liza was going to die?
We predicted that, not necessarily within the season, but that when Maddie brings her in the kitchen, says to her, if this happens to me, you got to do it. You got to take me out. Because it'll just break Travis. And I said at that point, this is going to end up being, she's going to have to take Liza out. That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So let's see. I really liked Travis. We've talked about it already, so I won't go into it a lot. But Travis coming out of his shell finally, dealing with the real world, on his terms, kind of, instead of, because the army told him to shoot, because the army told him to do it. He did it because, his belief in humanity or whatever got busted when that kid came and shot Ophelia, that soldier. And at that point he snapped. And, I thought it was finally time to see that happen. And he certainly didn't have any trouble taking the gun from Madison and using it for the greater good of the rest of them when he had to.
When he killed his wife?
Yeah,
he was separated with?
Yeah, exactly. Right? There was no hesitation. He just said, this is what has to happen. He knew it. He knew it was the right thing, and he had to do it. And
some guys dream about that, I think, for years.
Let's see. It was kind of an interesting epiphany that Nick has, that when he realizes that he's been kind of living in an apocalyptic nightmare for years now, and everyone else is just catching up with him. I thought that was kind of
that was awesome.
Right stroke of the writing there. I thought the music was great again overall. In the beginning of the series, I complained a lot with Jeff that the music seemed to be kind of all over the place, and the sound effects just, there was some good stuff with sound effects in the beginning, but the music just didn't, and they seemed to really get it straight by middle of the series. And, where they were using the musical blurbs, at the beginning or at a high point, was becoming much better, I thought, and much more effective.
And I just want to say, because in The Walking Dead, the soundtracks are so unbelievable. I download them and listen to them over and over again because the music is so stirring.
Yeah.
That it just does things to me.
It's this one right here. And you'll notice it immediately, right?
I love this song.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
That's the one you're talking about. Yep. Lead Me Home.
No, this one's Oats in the Water from Ben Howard. So.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, now I got to pause it so that way you don't get hit by some copyright or something like that.
But it's just so good. Can you just keep playing it in the background while Kirk talks?
But that's the thing though. Like the music, like Kirk was saying, the music in this episode, especially for me, they killed it. I thought it was perfect.
I agree. I thought there was a bunch of great lines. Too many, I didn't even get to write them all down. But lines like when the doctor turns to Liza and says, "Who we talking as family? Blood or bond?"
Yeah,
that was really cool.
That was rough.
It was rough, and she had to make the decision, like who's she going to choose and stuff. But it also speaks, in my mind, it speaks to the whole Walking Dead experience. Is that some of the bond ties are as good and as strong as blood. Look at Daryl and Rick. You know what I mean? It's like what happens in this apocalypse is the people you survive with become family. I thought that was cool. There's no story here that doesn't end with me dead.
That was a great line.
Yeah, that was a great one.
That was awesome. And then when they run back to the door, Strand and Nick, and it's locked, and Strand goes, "That's unfortunate."
Yeah.
I thought that cracked up out loud. And then, of course, his line, "The way to survive a mad world is to embrace the madness." And that, to me, was kind of the line that signified the big sea change for this episode for the series, because really this group of people are finally starting to embrace the madness of what they live in. You know what I mean? Killing Liza because it's they know the reality of what's going to happen. They can't jeopardize the rest of the group. Doing what think about what they did. They released 2,000 zombies to save 3 people.
Yeah, that was a little rough.
How many people died?
How many people died, including the poor helicopter dude?
Yeah.
It was all their fault.
But at the same time, it's like they're doing what they have to do to protect their own, So it's tough. It's a tough world. It's tough decisions. Some great cinematography. Jeff, you pointed out to me when we were chatting earlier in the week before about maybe you want to talk about it. The fence shot with Strand.
Oh yeah, when he was sitting in there in the cage talking with Nick, and when they shot it through the chain link, and he was like he had his face framed in one
link.
Diamond of link. Mm-hmm. That was so well shot. It was awesome. And the chain link kept moving back and forth too, so it gave movement to the shot, even though it was a static shot. It was cool. They did it again with the mirror reflection when Daniel's speaking to Ophelia, and they had done a lot of that a couple episodes ago, and they did it again so that you get this this kind of visual cue at the same time that the dialogue is cueing you that this guy's duality, his two life, his love for being and his fatherly love for his daughter, but yet this fact that he's this kind of archangel of death.
Okay, now wait a minute. We said that was either going to be bullshit or what? When you got really deep like this?
No, just bullshit. Okay,
all right. I'm just making sure.
And I loved the way that the last scene was shot with Travis. And they did it earlier in the season when we saw Nick in his morphine-induced daze, and they played around with the cinematography so that it was soft on the edges and glowy, and then you heard the chimes going in the back, but they were muted, and there was this sense of almost shooting it as if you were experiencing that high, you know what I mean? And then they kind of used some of that same cinematography and style to shoot this agonizing confusion and mess that was inside Travis after having gone through what he just saw, and it's all blurry on the sides, and you see Madison in the back, but she's like this weird distorted shape, and it was just really visually very, very cool, I thought.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, when she's just like this totally, you can't see what she is. This figure walking up behind him.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, because when you think about whenever you go through something really traumatic, and if you're crying really hard, how you get kind of a tunnel vision.
Right.
So that's what made me think of.
Right. And this show did a lot of that kind of stuff, more so than I think the main show does. The main show doesn't do a lot of that kind of artsy, creative cinematography. They do big shots and they do close shots and stuff. But I can't think of episodes where they, maybe they do a little bit like with tilting. Like they did some cool stuff with. Remember, Jeff, we talked about when the governor decides to at the last second to cut off the head of
Herschel's
head. Mm-hmm. The camera starts to tilt and everything gets a little skewy,
right?
As if like we're getting crazy just like him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they do a little bit like that, but I feel like Fear has really tried to experiment a little more with that. I loved the symmetry of coming back to the aqueduct where it all started in episode 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was cool.
Where they're driving down this aqueduct, and that's where we really kind of experienced the first big zombie confrontation. And then what's up with the picture, and I love this, that Strand picks up and takes with him? Daughter, son, child, wife, grandparent, parent, don't know. Somebody. Because he strikes you as this guy that has cut off all care inside of himself, almost sociopathic to anybody else's plight, unless you have some sort of Nick and these people have some sort of benefit to him, so he's working with them or whatever. But he just he doesn't. When he says to Nick when they're leaving, he's like, you can't, you got to save them, and he's like, well, saving them is going to hurt us, so so screw them, you know what I mean? But yet there's somebody that he cares about.
Yeah, that's kind of Kelly and I touched on that on our podcast, just like the meaning of Abigail, and the picture. So I mean, is Abigail, like you said? I mean, we don't know. That's
great. That's
a daughter.
That's a great theory.
Wife? So who knows? I hope we find out. I mean, I think that's
we will.
Surely we are. I mean, he wouldn't have picked that picture up for any other reason to give us like a little nod to what secret is he keeping truly. So. That's why he's the most interesting one on the show.
If you think about, your favorite, Justin, on the Walking Dead, which is the governor, and his big secret was that he was hiding his daughter away and feeding her walkers. So that was his.
Oh my God! You think his daughter
could be
on the boat?
Well, the thing. She says that in a joke. Or maybe not so much of a joke, but he does have some key information that everybody else seems to not have. We talked about it in our podcast, the fact that he walks up on that soldier and, Nick gets all freaked out and he's like, don't worry, they're slow. And he's like, I've got supplies, I've got all this kind of stuff. Like he's ready. He's been ready for this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why was he in there?
Yeah, that I don't know. I mean, that's the thing we don't know.
That's interesting. Why was he even in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he's fancy as hell.
God, I loved when Nick took the key from him.
Yeah, that was
that's awesome.
Slick. Mm-hmm.
Didn't see that coming. So those were my goods.
All right, so I'll kick the bads off. The first thing that struck me was what a bunch of assholes this entire group is when they decide to leave. They pack all their stuff up and they're driving away, and they don't tell their neighbors at all what's about to go down. The fact that they're about to get euthanized in about 6 hours, and we're just, shh, keep quiet. They won't let them play Monopoly, and on their way out. So that, I mean, for characters that are supposed to be your protagonists, your heroic types, especially Travis. I mean, I would have expected him to put up a fight. We've got to tell everybody. No. Let's just sneak out of here, and everybody's on their own. So I had a big problem with that.
Yeah, I agree. And they didn't close the fence.
Yeah, that always bothers me when they do that.
They drove out and left that fence completely open.
Right.
I have an issue with, look, Daniel is okay. So he was a head torturer in the El Salvadoran War, and he's seen some stuff in his life. But him showing up as the Pied Piper with 2,000 of these things behind him in the exact same place that you're looking to do a rescue mission, that's not good strategy. I thought that was kind of dumb. And how does he one guy controlling? Again, it's that an inconsistency in writing here, where so there were 2,000 of these things locked up in the arena, but yet one guy knows how to basically control them or basically lure them along. So there's that. I thought I had an issue with that.
I just have to say, Jeff, because I don't even need to go on my bed, because I think we're like the same person tonight, basically.
I'm like, ditto.
Yeah.
Kelly, you and I are going to start our own podcast, and Jeff and Justin can do theirs.
Yeah, because I just wrote down, because you said what a bunch of assholes this group is, and I said Daniel being a complete dick. Whenever he's pulling all those walkers up, I agree with you. I mean, it was kind of ludicrous how he just walks them right in.
I mean, because we don't.
God.
How far away was the Coliseum from where this compound was? I mean, they made it seem like it was just in the backyard.
Right. They said at one point in the beginning of the episode, they said it's close. We can work with that.
It's close. Okay. And still,
Daniel's a mall walker on his off days.
That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, when you say the Pied Piper, that's exactly what I'm thinking. It's like, come on, that one that was a little much. And he had that smart assy, comment that he made.
Yeah, you're gonna need those for the ammunition.
They didn't even need any of that. All they needed was for the zombies to show up, and then somebody, he can come in and say, they've hit the gate, let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say it was a very comic booky line, though. Like, that's something that I could see in the Walking Dead comic books.
That's
where,
true.
It's like this, out of place thing. But in a comic book, it works more. In a TV show, not as much. It just, compared to the situation that was going down, it was just definitely out of place.
Yep, I agree.
I continuing on my theme of just making soldiers look like dirtbags. I had an issue with the three soldiers coming down into the. Well, hold on. Let me back up. First of all, if we know that we've got this, this thing going on, and we've got to all stay together, why the hell do you leave your two kids downstairs in the garage with the truck with no weapons? You stay here, wait for us, and if we don't come back in 15 minutes, you guys just, haul ass. Really? You do that?
Go to the desert, guys. Go to the desert.
And Chris says, hey, Dad, I don't even know how to drive yet.
Yeah, exactly. I know. So that was pretty dumb. But then the three soldiers who come along and basically just were, stereotypes or cliches of, your typical show. And I told Kirk the other day, I was like, and the one soldier, he had like a 3-day growth on his face. Like talk about not having a budget. Like they couldn't even afford razors apparently. And that side
it looked like a spray tan to me, because his eyes it was like all white around his eyes.
And these guys didn't have armor. They didn't have helmets. I mean, where the hell did these guys come from? There's...
Okay, that was a big question that Justin had were these really the military? Or were they, some sleazebags that, found the camo store and, maybe they weren't.
And that's fine if you're going to do that, which is actually interesting. You got guys that are like, hey, you know what? We're going to blend in with the military, so that's a fine thing. But you never touched on that. Like, you never did anything with that in 6 episodes. And if we're supposed to glean that off of 5 seconds or, however long we saw these guys, that's a little far-fetched.
Where were the grenades at?
Yeah.
Where were they? I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Bazooka.
This is the military people. Like, I mean, I get that, they're going to... I get that the military was going to get overran. We knew that was going to happen because it's already happened in The Walking Dead, so we knew it was going to go down. But I'm just like, this was the most pathetic fight ever. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have gone down that way, but it certainly did in this episode. Yeah, a bummer.
So I had the soldiers problem, and Oh, Andy coming out. So you got this guy something happened in that 9 days. It was a magical 9 days between him and
Ophelia.
Magical. They've just got a thing for each other. It's fantastic. And then he's going to come out of the shadows and he's going to shoot her. Like, I understand what's behind it is that he wants to cause Daniel pain. Although, I mean, how much torture did he really have? He had skin taken off his forearm. It's not like he's disfigured.
Oh, come
right?
on! It looked like it hurt.
Kelly's like, that looks like a bad owie. That hurts.
Exactly. I mean,
don't people do acid burns or something, or peels or something like that, right?
But that's a female. We do that to our face. We
For fun.
Come on, exactly. For guys to do this kind of thing just doesn't happen.
I mean, he looked like someone had just put duct tape on his arm and ripped the hair off. That's about as bad as it was. He comes out of the shadows and he's going to shoot Ophelia. That was, that was probably of all the things that happened in the episode, that was the one thing where I was like, what? Why did that happen?
If you wanted to torture Daniel, take Ophelia away.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
I think I was mad, not that he came back not that he shot Ophelia, but he came back at all. Like,
right.
That was just so cliche that they had to do that, and I'm just like, it would have been more interesting had Andy come back in like season 2 or something like that, a little bit down the road or something, and he runs into him, and then they have a confrontation. But I don't know, to have the confrontation.
Well, they did it obviously because it allowed them to have the trigger for Travis.
Yes, for sure.
Because it was the last thing he had done to try and be humane and not lose his humanity and to be sensitive, and then this guy bursts takes.
I was going to ask, would it have made it more impactful had that not happened, and then he had to shoot Liza at the end? Because then that would have been the first time that we see this happen to him. I liked
seeing him beat that guy almost to death.
I know.
Does that make me sick?
It was right hand, left hand, right hand, left hand.
Justin, I'm actually going to agree with you, and I think that not having that whole little scene with Andy, I actually think would have made the ending with Travis even more powerful. That's where the transformation. That's basically like he's held off until the very end, and then it just culminates in that in that final moment. But so the last part of my bads are, and I've already talked about the one thing about Liza giving up way too early. I thought that was ridiculous, and she was such a good actress, and she was just one. You talk about characters that you cared about, and Strand clearly far and away just stole the show from me. But Liza has always, from her first appearance, when they go driving past the hospital, and she sees that madness, and she's really the only one who has this look on her face like, what the F is going on over here? She's the only one who really reacts, and that actress she killed it every time she was on screen, and this last episode was no different. That being said, I thought she gave up too early, but I also think that the transformation in Travis happens far too fast in that scene. I don't agree with the fact that he just goes, give me the gun, and then he's going to handle it. Like, if anybody is going, given the precedent they've set for Travis throughout 6 episodes, even with all the stuff that he's seen, that's the last thing he's got to hold on to. He's being faced now with, okay, you've seen all this stuff. Now you got to belly up to the bar and you gotta take a drink. And he's got to resist. No. I tell you what. And in fact, it should have been a fight between him and Liza where she was like, you've got to do this. No. You could stay alive a little. Oh, it's not that bad. It's just a flesh wound. Just like he
Jeff
didn't
is a
fight.
Frustrated actor.
Yes. He didn't fight at all with that. He just was like, yep, it's got to get done. Give me the gun. And so for me, I thought it was a massive downshift that didn't ring true for me. And I actually feel less, I feel less of an attraction to Travis's character because of that than I would have an emotional attachment to him had it been a little bit more grueling and emotional.
I was going to say, Kelly and I talked about this, and we thought, and I don't know if what it would have done for the show, but we kept thinking that like Chris was going to walk up as Madison shot Liza. Like that Madison went through with it, and then you have this even more of a huge divide between Chris, Madison, and Travis and whatnot. But yeah, it was a crazy ending scene. I don't know about the ending scene if I would have wanted him to do it more. I mean, it was kind of crazy how quickly he transformed there and just shot her. I don't know.
And I think that's why they put in the Andy sequence. And I don't disagree necessarily with you guys that it didn't make a lot of sense, and it didn't seem logical that he would go through all that for revenge in the middle of all of this chaos and everything. But I think they probably also felt that they needed to have something more to tip him. He wouldn't be able to easily shoot Liza at the end unless he had already started to cross over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's true.
So I think that's why they put that in there.
Good point.
What else, Jeff? Any other bads?
No, that's it for me. Kelly?
Well, okay. So, I mean,
remember,
we pretty
bad
much
can be good, though, right?
Yeah,
bad can't be good.
No, bad is bad.
Bad can only be bad. Ugly can be good.
Oh, okay.
So bad is only bad.
I can't keep up. Dang it.
I know. Well, and I will just say, I mean, I really, for the most part, agree with everything that Jeff just said. I mean, I had a huge problem with the Liza and her wanting to kill herself so quickly. I mean, this is way too early for us to know that we have to do ourselves in. She's already done all these things that she, because of her son Chris, that she wants to live for him and protect him and make sure, he's safe and blah, blah, blah. And then she's going to kill herself right off the bat. Bull corn. Also,
corn. That one's
yes,
new.
I cleaned it up because the S was just getting ready to come out of my mouth, and I thought I've already cussed twice on this podcast, and no one else has. And I really appreciate y'all just throwing me under the bus by no one else saying any cuss words.
Well, but the thing is,
okay,
bullshit.
Well, the thing is that you're the guest, so you get away with it. You get the pass.
That's right.
I know, but it's like your listeners will be going like, "Who's this bitch that comes on here throwing the F-bomb around?"
Yeah.
We can never have you on
again,
but
I know, like, yeah.
You might as well make this one count.
Thank you so much for being such gentlemen to let me to as a guest use all those cuss words. And again, the Dr. Exner as a doctor giving up so quickly too and killing all those patients. I had a real issue with that. And the military being the bad guy, like you said, once again. I mean, it's like every show. The military can never actually be the ones that come in to help.
Right.
Ever.
It's always the ex-military guy that left the military can then be the good guy.
Right.
Which is weird how it is that way. And I mean, yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into the bad that I had for it because I think we already touched on it. But I was really disappointed with how the military story played out. I mean, I thought if they were going to make Moyer such a jackass, I thought that they should have done something more with that storyline. But it went kind of nowhere. And I think it was you, Jeff, earlier touching on the fact that, or maybe it was Kirk, I forget by now, talking about how you thought the storyline was going to be a much, much tighter 6 episodes and everything.
Yep.
And I just don't know what they were. I don't know what they were doing with that, the military storyline. I mean, yes, it played into some really awesome moments in this episode with all the chaos and the guy running into the helicopter and everything, which was pretty awesome. But yeah, that was my bad for overall in this season. It's just that I don't think that they did that storyline justice overall. They used I thought they used a lot of cliche stuff.
I would add to that. I agree with you, and I would add to that I don't see a reason why they couldn't. It could be just as emotional and just as heart-wrenching and just as engaging if the military had been good and helpful and
for sure
failed miserably to protect them.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though they were trying, you know what I mean? Whether it was disorganization, bad leadership at the top or something like that, you know what I mean? Or just overwhelmed, just the whole not prepared. I mean, this is not really the military, it's the National Guard. And they may not have been prepared for Jeff and I joke about the fact that LA has, 4 million people,
yeah,
Jeff?
Roughly 4, yeah.
4 million people, and they evac some, so maybe they evac 1 million. Well, there could be anywhere close to 3 million zombies in that city.
Yeah.
That, that's a lot of zombies for a small National Guard unit, But anyway, I just was agreeing. Kelly, I don't know if you got done with your bads.
Oh, no, I did.
Okay.
I did. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't matter anyway because Justin cut me off, so it's fine.
I'm good. I'm the best at that. I am the best at cutting her off.
Well,
no,
That's my
seriously,
one skill
I was
set.
done. I was done. Yeah. No.
What about you, Justin?
Oh no, that was it. I mean, for me, it was just all about the military and yeah, Daniel being the Pied Piper asshole. So that was pretty much it. So.
Yeah, I agree on the Pied Piper. I even wrote on my note, Daniel is zombie Pied Piper, so I agree with you guys in that. That was weak. We talked about the fact that they left the fence open and didn't tell their neighbors, which, I mean, they look in the window as they're driving by and see this poor family eating or doing something at candlelight.
Like playing checkers or dominoes or something.
Yeah, and they're super, super happy.
Yeah.
They were so happy. Yeah.
I also really despised the whole scene with Chris and Alicia. I just thought that they should never have left them behind at this point. There was no need to do that. They didn't have a strategic part of the plan that required somebody to be there, and I thought, again, the soldier thing. So I echo all the feelings about that. What happened to Cobalt? Were they supposed? You know what I mean? What happened? Were they going to drop a bomb on the whole city or on that neighborhood? Were they supposed to come back and shoot them all? The army's not there anymore. I mean, they're pulling out. I don't know.
You know what? That's actually a really good point, because if it was supposed to be a humane, quote unquote, humane termination of everybody in the area,
right?
Then why did you have a hospital in the fallout zone?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they'll come back to that. Maybe they'll show it being blown up. I don't know. The road. I loved the sequence where they're escaping, and I love the echoes to the main show's shot of Rick going into Atlanta on the highway.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, that was cool, and I felt it was.
Did you get goosebumps?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it struck me as though I didn't understand, like. The Atlanta horse ride into Atlanta was so perfectly done, because there's absolutely no traffic on the inbound lane, and the outbound side is just packed, and it just graphically depicted what was going on. Everybody was trying to get the hell out of Dodge. You know what I mean? Where was that in the shot? I mean, you had some traffic on one, but maybe it's because there were so many highways, but to me, it didn't work as well.
It shouldn't have been that just the one side was so completely clear.
It really was. Yeah,
right.
It was like it was one lane, all the outbound traffic.
Right.
Nothing on the other side at all.
But you're talking about the original show's Atlanta image, right?
No, I'm talking about in L.A.
Yeah, this one. But it was hard to decipher. Maybe because of the fact that you have all the overlapping highways, it didn't visually work for me the way that the Atlanta shot did. I was like confused. I was like, where are all the cars? There was like one little mass over here, and it's like, wouldn't there be cars freaking everywhere? But I don't know. That was just that was it for my bads. Not a lot of bads. It was a really good episode.
My uglies. I just have my ugly's a good ugly, and it's the whole scene with Dr. Exner in the hospital when she's calling for to get out. I love the shot of the camera that was down a little low, and she's in the foreground, the Chinook is in the background, and then she's she calls up to it. Are you coming down? And they're like, oh, we're evaluating, and then you just see it just bank away, and the look on her face, like, oh crap. And like I said before, here's a woman who's, I agree that she may have given up a little bit too soon, but here's a woman who's bought into the Kool-Aid of the military's going to back them up, and she's got this backstop, and suddenly it's not there anymore, and you're on your own. I thought that was a pretty good scene for me.
Kelly?
This is difficult because once we do our good and our bad, for me to come up with that ugly that could be an ugly or a good ugly, the ugliest thing for me, and I know I'm just going to piss all y'all off, but I'm going to do it anyway, and that is Strand. I was a little put off by
What?
his cleverness.
What?
Just a little too clever for me.
A bad ugly.
That's a bad ugly. A bad ugly.
Oh, a bad ugly.
Wow.
Well, you're not the only one because I think some of our listeners felt the same way. Sort of. They were just saying that he might become a little bit too much for them, and that maybe he already was. I don't know. So
I mean, it's just he's and I said this before. He's the Old Spice guy. Wrapped into the most interesting man in the world, character all put in, into one. And he's just a little too glib. He's a little too clever. He's a little too smooth. And that just bothers me a little bit. So, I mean,
that's the first character we've really gotten on the show between the main show and obviously for The Walking Dead that is that type of persona. I mean, I think the next one that we're going to get like that is Negan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I have a
prediction.
I have a prediction.
All right, let's hear it.
By the end of season 2, Kelly changes her tune on Strand.
I'm sure I will. I probably before the end of season 2.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
But
what if he dies in episode 1?
Then I'll be super upset
if he gets
because
Kirkman?
he was so pretty
but that could change your tune also, though.
That's what I'm saying.
If he's dead and he's dead and you're okay with it because you didn't like him. So
either way, I think he is a very interesting character. I'm super curious on what his backstory is. I really am. But I'm not really heavy into the clever lines when you're in this harrowing situation where I'm about to, be overrun by zombies and eaten. That's unfortunate that the door's locked. Okay.
I may retract my statement I said about you liking The Martian. You might not like it as much.
Okay.
Because
anything Matt Damon says is fine.
Then it's okay. Then it's okay if Matt Damon says it. Well, he is like the most optimistic dude in the universe in that movie. Like everything goes to hell.
Justin, did you read the book?
I'm reading it now. I have a thing. Yeah, I don't read them first. I always watch the movie first. Yeah,
I really really enjoyed the book. And you're absolutely right. He's just the most optimistic, positive, funny guy, and the only kind of guy that could have survived that way. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. It's crazy how optimistic. I mean, like you leave the movie and you're more optimistic after watching it.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine the book. But I always do that because if I read the book first and it's incredible, it always, again with the expectations, it sets it up to be this amazing movie, and then I go in and I'm like, well, it wasn't as good as the book, and I hate having that attitude.
Well, let me just clear it up for all of you guys, and I think Justin, you probably already know this. I'm not going down smoothly and quietly. I'm screaming and kicking and cussing the whole way. It's not going to be a pretty.
It's going to be ugly.
It'll be ugly. So yes.
Kelly's our ugly for this week.
That's right. It's just
exactly.
me. It's just me.
Am I next with my ugly?
Yes,
sure.
I think so.
Okay. I think mine's. I don't know if this is a good or bad ugly. I don't know. You can interpret it many different ways. But my ugly is the group getting their last shot of normality as they drove away. And they drove away twice. But whenever they're looking at, everybody, like we were talking about what assholes they were, but at the same time, I'm like, this is the last shot that they're going to get of just their normal past lives. And to me, this was the beginning of the real ugliness for our group.
Right.
So,
don't you guys feel bad now? that you said they were assholes.
I don't. I stand by it.
No, they were definitely still assholes, but I do feel bad for them that, that's the last shot that they get, was the family playing whatever game they were playing or eating whatever good food they were eating, which I can't imagine it was very good food.
To your point, there was also a scene in that segment. I'm getting tired. Where Madison goes over and looks at the markings on the wall that indicate the growth of her children. Yeah. So I see your point. I think that's a cool thing. That's a good one.
Well, that was.
What about you, Jeff?
No, I did mine. I let off.
Oh
man, Alzheimer's sucks, doesn't
it? The moving right along. I just felt the overall pace and action of the entire episode, and the fact that we get to see really for the first time some of the fall, like those opening and closing shots of LA, and the fight with the military at the camp, and we kind of really got to see the frantic and crazy that we didn't get to see in the 9 days, and it was great, because it has been a slow burn kind of series, a lot of interpersonal relationships and family dynamic stuff, and to see a real knockdown, drag out zombie action fest, was refreshing, and I thought they did a pretty good job of it. So that was my ugly.
I agree.
It was a good ugly.
So your ugly is a good ugly. Yeah.
Good ugly. Yep.
I'll never get.
Y'all need to
this.
have like the Bubba Sparks like thing whenever you do these the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know what song I'm talking about? Do either one of you know?
It's familiar. We can say Bubba Sparks.
Yeah, and he's like, "It's getting ugly." Yeah, I mean that's y'all should have that little sound bite every time before y'all do the ugly. So
and what do we usually do a funky rating, and I'll tell you, we used to do headshots. How many headshots does it get? 4 out of 5 headshots, but we've come up. It seems like a different one every week with Fear, and we've got the most awesome listeners who write in with these hilarious. I can't wait to see what they're going to come up with this time. I'm assuming helicopter prop.
Oh, that was the one I was going to go with. I was going to give it 3 face plants into a helicopter blade.
Okay, but out of how many?
5.
5
Out of 5, and you only gave it 3?
Yeah.
Wow, you're tough. You are super tough.
Yeah.
Because I would have gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
I'd give it 4.5 bolts to the head.
Bolts to the head. Oh man, I guess I'm gonna be with Jeff. I'll give it slightly higher, but 3.5. Bolts to the head or helicopter kills? I don't know what it was. I forget already. Yeah, helicopter face plants. Yes.
Excellent.
All right. Well.
All right. Now we talked about. We wanted to touch on the Walking Dead preview and our predictions for season 6. Do we still want to do that?
Well, I didn't know about it till I listened to your podcast. So I
think it was Justin's idea.
Yeah, I think it was probably Justin's idea. But Justin doesn't pass those along to me. So I predict it's going to be a great season.
Oh, well played.
Bold prediction.
Safe.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you want us to do death predictions? Because I think we got to keep those to ourselves because we're going to be in that Walking Death pool, and you guys are going to be in there as well, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anything. I heard you say that on your last podcast, and I was like, I went to the website.
This is new to me, but I think I'm in.
Yeah, it's this really cool website, walkingdeathpool.com. Yeah, you can go on there, you sign up, and you pick out of the characters, and you can play it all season long, or you can play it episode by episode, and you say, who's going to live, who's going to die, how did they die, did they save somebody? It's a whole big deal. Think basically it's March Madness for The Walking Dead.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
yeah, you can say if they were killed by a walker or killed by a human, or you can just be real general like I am. And Daryl dies this season. I know that's not my prediction.
Is that
for
your
God's
prediction?
for God's sakes, no.
That won't happen.
Yeah. But it is really cool, and you guys need to join it because there's going to be a podcast group. So I will email the dude right now and let him know to get with you guys on this because you need to pick them quick.
4 whole days. Yeah.
I have my big prediction is Negan appears in the season finale.
Good prediction.
Mid-season finale or the season finale?
No, season finale.
Yeah, I agree.
Kirk, are you going to go next or am I going to go?
You can go.
Okay. I am going to predict that Maggie is going to die.
Pregnant.
No. She's not pregnant, but I predict that Maggie is going to die. And it's going to be at the hands of somebody that may show up in the finale, like Jeff said.
Oh, a little twist on what happens in the comics.
Yeah, indeed.
Interesting. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's cheating.
What?
Why is that cheating?
It's like, I mean, you're reading the source material and making your predictions.
Oh, that's true.
That is true. It is cheating, but I mean, sometimes they do like to throw us curveballs, and I think that, I'm sorry any listeners out there that don't know the comic books, but I feel like it's too predictable for them to go the comic book route.
Right. At this point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because everybody, I mean, they've already foreshadowed it in, the premiere of season 5. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
The minute they had Glenn pick up the bat, when
Right.
in that first episode of last season, it was kind of like they're not going to do it.
Yeah, I hope not. I will riot. Where's if Glenn dies?
Well, if I got to choose between Glenn and Maggie, I'm sorry, Glenn's history.
We're not talking about the ones that we're most attracted to.
Oh, shucks. Okay.
And because Justin is more attracted to Glenn.
There you go.
That is true.
Yeah, no judging on biters.
Me and Stephen Ewan,
Yep. You'd make pretty babies.
I did read an interesting recap that was on IO9, which is one of my favorite blogs, the sci-fi stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not. Sci-fi.
No. We know all about it. If you don't watch The Strain, at least go read the guy's reviews about The Strain.
Yeah. It is so great. He makes me sound like I am the world's cleanest mouth individual ever.
I just gotta say that at the very end, I know this is a huge spoiler for this guy's review, but he's ended with this phrase twice in his reviews in the last 3 weeks, and I'll be like you, Kelly. I'll drop the F-bomb since I won't be back.
Thank you.
Or I won't get invited back. But he goes at the very end, "Fuck this show." And in this one, at the first time he did it, he just said it in a sentence. Like at the very end, like it was kind of nonchalant, but it was like, "Whoa, that's a bombshell." This one, it was in all bold, and it was 3 separate sentences. I was like, "Wow, he really hates this show." And I love IO9. It's great. IO9 is a fantastic site.
Yeah, I love that site, and that's pretty funny review.
Yeah, it's great.
They had a recap of the San Diego Comic-Con panel, I guess, with the Walking Dead, and some of the tidbits that came out of that I thought were interesting. They're not. I don't know if you consider these spoilers, but just some interesting background stuff. Like the premiere episode will include 654 zombies on screen, the most ever used on the show.
Okay. So my question is, did Fear the Walking Dead just steal their thunder? Because there was like 2,000 of them.
Yeah, but they'll make 654 look like 10,000. Know what I mean?
No, very, very true. Yeah. It's very.
And they will all be awesome.
Supposedly, there will be a lot of flashbacks in the first half of the season, and a lot of playing with time. That's I thought was interesting. And one of the mid-season episodes will actually be told entirely in flashback. So I wonder what that's going to be about.
Really?
Yeah. Gimbal said they tried to cast another person from The Wire this year, but it didn't work out. And then he was quoted as saying, "No," he said, "quote, we aren't through with that cast yet."
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, I got a question for you guys. And because this is, I think I've seen his name thrown out there in rumors, and mainly just rumors because of fan speculation and wanting this person to be Negan. But could you ever see Idris Elba joining The Walking Dead?
No.
I mean, I know he's a big star, but I mean, he's also it's such a different world these days, like of who's on TV and who doesn't want to come to TV. It's barely anybody. Like, I mean, everybody's got. I mean, Woody Allen's got a freaking Amazon TV show coming out at this point. I would have never in a million years thought Woody Allen would ever do anything in TV.
Yeah, but that's basically his thing, and there you do have crossovers between major actors and actresses coming to TV, which is a thing. But it's also they're coming into their projects, like they're the headliner. Idris Elba coming into this. He's too big a name to fit into this without it being like his own. I mean, he'd be coming off of he headlined Luther, for crying out loud, and so I think he's too big to be a recurring character on this.
I think, but I mean, I think most people don't even know what Luther is. Like the average TV viewer. Now, granted, they're completely missing out because it is amazing.
Yeah.
Like, and he's amazing in that show. But no, I mean, I agree. He is. He's in Star Trek coming up soon. He's going to be I think the villain or something in that. But I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I'd like to save him because I want to see him be the next Doctor Who. I think
that could be
cool
interesting.
Doctor Who. Yep.
I could see that. That'd be cool.
Supposedly, Andrew Lincoln shared that his mom believes Rick and Michonne should get together.
Hey, Justin, why do you laugh? You've been wanting that for
no.
I want that. I think that's a natural.
We've been on Team Michonne for a long time. So.
Exactly.
That's a no-brainer if you ask me. There will be a zombie next season that the crew has named the Bernie Wrightson zombie after the famed EC Comics horror artist. Don't know what that is, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that. We're big comic book fans.
Oh, well, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Speaking of, should we plug your upcoming gig right now? I know you will coming up, but I just wanted to say I think it's so awesome that you guys are going.
I don't want our fans to turn off, because we plug it so much now.
I just think it's. I mean, I'm excited.
You guys aren't going to be in town, are you?
No.
I've only been to that to New York Comic Con once, but I will say something that's really interesting that I really, really hope that San Diego Comic Con takes note is that they're going to stream their panels finally. Like, I do not understand why they've never done this. Like, who really? I mean, at the end of the day, does it matter if 7,000 people see Batman versus Superman in Hall H or 30, 40 million people see that? Exactly. I mean, that's so stupid to me. Like, I get that it's nice and it's awesome if you get into Hall H, but
I waited in line and never got in.
No.
Yeah, and it's not like by doing that they're going to end up with less people wanting to come to New York Comic Con.
Right.
No, not at all.
Absolutely.
It actually might be good because there might be less people and it won't be so freaking crowded.
I would attribute that.
And smelly.
I would say that Reed Pop is a bigger, more organized and sophisticated event planning organization than San Diego. San Diego, that's just all they do. But the people that run New York Comic Con are a company called Reed Pop, and they do these kinds of shows all over the country, all over internationally, and not just the comic book ones, but like for all sorts of different venues. And they're probably, moving at a little quicker pace at introducing that, that kind of an aspect to the panels.
I'm excited. I can't wait.
That's cool. I did not hear that. Did you know that, Jeff? I didn't know that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that's cool. It struck me in the preview that we see Carl. Have you guys watched the preview at all?
Yes.
And
wait, I haven't seen a new one, or is this the old one?
It's kind of, there's like 2 or 3 different edits of it, but it's pretty much the same one. Which is, the highlights of what's coming. But because we've speculated at the end of last season that there was some stuff maybe that went on before we see the scene where what's his name, the alcoholic Pete, comes into the meeting with the sword.
Right.
Because the sword, if you stop motion and check it out, it's got like blood on it. And so we thought, well, perhaps maybe, he had to go get that sword. So maybe he did something to Carl or to Judith.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking maybe Judith doesn't make it.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't be torn up about that.
Justin, he is not a fan.
I'm like, it's time to let that one go.
I just read an interview with Andrew Lincoln. He is not a fan of Judith.
Oh, really?
Really?
Oh, yeah. He said, Carl, it's been really great because, it's like, what it was the movie with the kid with, is it Ethan Hawke was in it and the kid grows up in it?
Oh yeah, 12.
Boyhood.
Boyhood, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say 12 Years a Slave too.
I was like, y'all are going way different on this.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
12 Years a Slave. Yeah, Ethan Hawke, right?
Years a boy, but I was
Okay, well,
12 Years a Boy. Yeah. But anyway, he was saying that he feels that Carl's character has been that way for him. That he's got to see him Chandler Riggs just grow up. He said, but now as far as Judith goes, he has not bonded with her. That they always use twins, and because they grow so fast, he never really gets the chance to. But he said one of the twins hated him and would scream every time he'd pick her up, and he would always ask, "Which one is it?" Which I thought was kind of rude, but yeah. So anyway, he probably wouldn't be too tore up about it either.
I had always hoped that the spinoff, when we heard that there was going to be a spinoff, I was hoping that they would do something really funky, like have the main show, come across some sort of like idyllic place to leave Judith, like I don't know, some sort of community that or something that will take the baby but won't let any of the rest of them in, and they know it's better. I don't know, something, but somehow leave the baby and then move on, and then the spin-off show would be 20 years in the future, and it's her growing up, and she sets out to try and kind of find out the backstory of her life and what happened to her family and all that kind of stuff.
That would have been really interesting.
Yeah, but of course by that point the zombies are all like decayed and gone.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could have that could be The Last of Us or something like that. They
right,
could have,
right.
Evolved into something different or something. I don't know.
Yeah, man, I'm on. Sign me up for that one.
Make that comic book.
Yeah,
there you go.
That's all I could do to make the one we make.
Yeah.
I think Jeff fell asleep.
No. I just know that we need to let our guests go because they have other commitments, and then we still have to get to our Facebook posts.
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I will say thank you very much. This has been fun.
Well, thank you.
It has. It's been a lot of fun. Appreciate you guys for letting us on here. We're glad to finally. It took so long to get Kirk on, and then it was just like we got to get on you guys's. So we're glad that we made it happen. A lot quicker than whatever it was that we've been talking on Twitter for like 2 years or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on, and we think the world of you guys. So we enjoy it. We'll have to do it again.
Well, we hope you guys enjoy the premiere, by the way, too. We both can't wait. I think it's going to be amazing.
I think it should be incredible. Incredible numbers on people viewing. I think there's a lot of people jonesing to get back into it. So
it's 90 minutes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
exciting.
Awesome.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
All right.
All right, guys.
Justin and Kelly, thank you so much for coming on. And for everybody who's listening to, regularly listens to Biters, head on over to the Walking Naked podcast and listen to Justin and Kelly every week.
Yeah, why don't you guys tell our people where's the best way to hear you or where to find you?
Oh, I mean, I think Jeff got it. I mean, if you search The Walking Naked on iTunes and Stitcher, it's going to pull up all of our podcasts because we do a crap ton of them on other TV shows and whatnot. I think we're going to also potentially be covering the new Evil Dead TV show while The Walking Dead is going on, so that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, just go search The Walking Naked on iTunes and Stitcher. That's probably the easiest way to find us. Or at filmdispenser.com. That gets all of the podcasts that we do. So, but yeah, thanks again for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. So, that was fun having Justin and Kelly on.
That was awesome. They're just a lot of fun, man.
All right.
We seem to have similar points of views.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Well, that was my concern coming into this, is that we'd be like, you and I would be, doing our normal thing, and that the two of them would be so really, everything is awesome, about it. So.
No, they're critical. They tend to get into the nitty gritty as well, but. I think the good, bad, and the ugly threw all a little bit.
There's a concept they didn't quite.
Well, their format is not as structured. They kind of just take off from the beginning talking about it, and they don't really have a structure. Like Walking Dead cast has their top 5, and then we've got the good, bad, and ugly, and they just kind of talk about it.
All right, so we are setting a new record, I think, for length of a podcast, which will make a few people happy, and
probably a few people not.
Kirk less so, because this is way past his bedtime. So let's get to some Facebook and posts, and let's see what we got.
Diane Maythorne wrote in. She said, the good man. Finally, I knew Travis was the good man of the episode, and I finally fucking care. Gijo sent me an email, or sent us an email. He said, dude, what if Travis turns out to be like Marco from Saga? That would be awesome. And then he wrote in a little bit later after this episode and said, I told you he was like Marco.
Yeah.
For people who read sagas, Marco is a kind of a pacifist character who's turns out to be a really pretty talented military strategist and fighter. So,
all right, Laura Willie Swink, guys, I was a bit underwhelmed by the finale. I'm actually surprised to read that opening line from you, Laura. I was not what I was expecting. Let's see what she's got to say. The middle of the show, once all hell started to break loose, was fun to watch and kept me in some suspense. But this was a finale. I thought shit was going to kick off immediately, but even the finale had a slow burner start. I love the Walker mega herd, the manic evacuation of the military base, and the reveal of Abigail. But at the end, I was still nagged by a bunch of unanswered questions and not entirely surprised by anything that went down. For one, I think we all expected Daniel to open the gates to the stadium and unleash the Walker herd. Absolutely. So after last week's tease with the doors nearly busting through, we get no payoff. We don't see how this resourceful desperado manages to release 2,000 walkers and saunters them up to the gates. Boo! Bad, lazy writers. Secondly, why the hell did Strand want Nick? You know what? This is a good point that we did not bring up, and I actually have it somewhere in my notes. I blame the booze I was drinking. But that's actually a really good point. There's no connection between Strand and Nick. Although maybe they're laying it out for season 2. But Laura continues, why did Strand want Nick? He said he needed a man with his skill set when he made his move. But apart from Nick showing off some sweet pickpocketing skills, Strand seemed to have no real plan for him. Lastly, and most annoyingly / confusing for me, was the whole premise of Cobalt. Hadn't they determined in the last episode that all military were to evacuate because Cobalt had been initiated, and that those remaining in the city were to be, quote, humanely terminated at 0900 hours? The gang seemed to be leaving the hospital at around that time, and I didn't see any bomber jets, flying missiles, or even ground troops executing this mission. Are we to assume that the walkers taking out the base curtailed Cobalt? Somehow I felt that to destroy an entire city, it would be an outside force coming in, and that's why the soldiers were quickly evacuating. Again, what the what? Most of the show seemed fairly predictable, down to Liza being bit and having to turn to Madison and repeat her same requests and her words to her. I didn't, however, expect Ophelia's lovelorn and betrayed soldier to show up, but even that I found really unbelievable. You have a chance to escape when you know total annihilation is hours away, and you'd rather face a herd of walkers to pursue petty vengeance? That felt really contrived and written just to have the viewers finally get to see Travis Hulk out on Adams. I give the finale 2.3 out of 5 pimpin' offshore yachts.
Pimpin' offshore yachts.
That's awesome. I'll still watch
classic.
season 2 because, heck, I'm down for some zombie adventures on the high seas, and I'm totally on board with the characters and actors who played Nick, Madison, Daniel, and Strand. I'm not one to overly rant, but please, writers, your audience is not as brain dead as the Zeds. Laura, I'm not really sure, but we might be, I don't know, separated at birth or something, because this was, I agree with everything you say here. It's pretty funny.
Excellent. Christine wrote in, she said, Goods, the overall theme of the season episode. Who would you save and how far would you go to save them? Liza, choosing Chris and Travis when the doctor gave her a choice, then ultimately asking Madison to kill her to spare Travis and Chris. Madison condoning torture to save her son. The soldiers killing Moyers to find their families. Nick telling his mother to leave him. Strand saving himself. Travis trying to save everyone. This is juxtaposed against those who are unwilling to fight. Doug and his mental breakdown. Dr. Exner staying behind and looking like she was going to kill herself. Ophelia and Daniel seeing the burned bodies that most likely included Griselda tying it into episode 3 where Daniel suggests burning the neighbor. So those were all her goods. And I thought that's some excellent observations. Bads. You had one job, Travis. Yes, I know letting Adams go was consistent with his character, but what other purpose did it serve? Adams came back and Ophelia was shot, but she didn't die. The only benefit was that it showed the audience that there's something more to his character. I'm assuming they'll go somewhere with this next season. It might have been more effective to have Daniel subdue him, turn on Travis for letting Adams go, and just leave expanding Travis's character to next season. That way it could have been triggered by Liza's death and be that more impactful. Yeah, kind of some of the stuff you guys were saying in our talk with Walking Naked people. Time jumps and the inconsistencies was another bad in her mind. How did they unleash the stadium full of walkers without dying? How far away is the stadium from the base? Again, we touched on that. Did they lead the entire herd for miles? How is every walker and soldier dead or gone by the time they made it outside? How did morning come so quickly?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was kind of weird.
Those some excellent bads. Ugly. Next week, Walking Dead returns.
Yep.
Yeehaw. Zombie kill. Not sure if this counts, but the soldier who ran into the helicopter blades.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Crazy predictions. David Erickson, who's the showrunner, basically outlined the first 4 episodes of next season when he was on The Talking Dead, so never mind. Basically, he just said it was going to go out onto the sea. Rating 4 out of 5 toppled guard towers.
Nice.
That's funny. Overall rating for the season, 3 out of 5. Can't wait till next week. Take care, guys. See you later, Christine. Great letter. Thank you so much.
All right, Gary Dombrowski. A few things on the season finale for Fear the Walking Dead Season 1. The good, Strand. Who is he? Real estate tycoon, lawyer, athlete. Remember, a closer is a relief pitcher in baseball. That's actually an interesting point there. I'm curious if we'll meet more characters on Strand's yacht, Abigail. Maybe they'll go on a 3-hour tour. Nick can be Gilligan. A pat on the back to Chris, who listened to his father and stayed with Alicia in the SUV when they went to look for Nick and Griselda. The bad, you couldn't throw a rock without hitting a trope in this episode. Daniel wanted to kill Corporal Andy, but Travis and Andy convinced him he was needed to get inside the hospital compound. Travis ended up letting him go. Gee, wonder if we see him again. We sure did, and he shot Ophelia instead of Daniel. I can't help but feel that Daniel I know and love would have put a bullet in his head. What's with doctors on the show? Holy crap, that's a really good point.
Doctors and soldiers.
But Daniel being the guy who's going to go all, I've done bad things in my past, and his daughter gets shot, but he doesn't turn and shoot the other guy in the head. That's actually a really good point. I hadn't thought of that. I think I thought it when I saw the scene, and it just kind of went out of my head. Daniel wanted to kill. Oh, wait. Hold on, I gotta go forward a little bit. Oh, what's with doctors on the show? Jenner blew up with the CDC. The doctor in Woodbury just seemed to disappear. Then we have Dr. Pete, domestic abuser MD. It looks as if Dr. Exner also decided to opt out. Healthcare professionals just do not have much of a life expectancy on this show/series. What's with the terrible army lookouts in the high lift at the hospital? They have no problem seeing Daniel, but fail to see the zombie herd pouring out of a well-lit arena.
No.
Good point. They weren't exactly mowing them down in droves, that's for sure. We have Eliza revealing she's been bitten after the fact. She joins Jim, Bob, and Tyrese and a small group of characters who met and revealed their fate in the same way. Finally, we have the group exiting a zombie-filled hospital only to step outside with it being not only daylight, but totally deserted. There's nobody around at all. What gives? The ugly, the Rick Grimes-like pummeling Travis gave Corporal Andy. How about that bitten soldier that walked into the rear rotor of the helicopter? Can we finally get Nick out of those ugly old man clothes and into something more age-appropriate? All in all, it was a decent first season. Hopefully Season 2 will improve on the writing, which needed polishing on at least some episodes. I give this episode and first season 3.75 Apocalypse Popsicles. Remember that scene with them eating popsicles?
Yes.
Out of the back? That was ridiculous.
That was a little crazy.
And then Gary follows up 8 minutes later and says, oh yeah, the episode was called The Good Man. Who was the good man? I think we talked about that already.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't have any more that I found, but I didn't go recently to the site. So
that was
if you've got more.
No, that was it. I just read off the site. So
Was that Tom? Did you cover Thomas? Didn't Thomas Reese have one? Because that was Gary Dombrowski, right? Or was that both of them?
No, that was Gary.
I think Thomas Reese had something too.
Well, he had the Pulp Fiction thing from last week.
Let me see.
Well, while Kirk is doing that, if you guys are going to be, this is Tuesday that we're recording this, which means it'll probably be maybe Wednesday or Thursday when this gets posted. If you're going to be in New York, come out to the Javits Center. We're up from actually starting tomorrow and Thursday through Sunday. The New York Comic Con is on. We are going to be at booth 1355. That's 1355. We're right next to Marvel. So come on by. Kirk will have some. We'll be selling Z-Girl and the Four Tigers, our comic book, along with the way cool Z-Girl 12-inch fully posable action figure. And Kirk will have some of. He'll have all the prints. We'll be selling all the prints, the tribute pieces that he's done for Walking Dead on sale. But mostly, I just want to meet you guys. So come on over, say hi, and let us know, what you think of the show and that you listen. And
absolutely, I can't find it.
All right, sorry, Thomas.
So Thomas, sorry, we'll read it next week. We'll figure it out. But yes, definitely stop on by NYCC if you're coming to the show. Small press, as Jeff pointed out. We'd love to meet you guys. Some of Celtic, I believe Celtic So Thomas is going to be there. He's coming by. Gary Dombrowski is usually there, isn't he? And we look forward to it. I am just absolutely beyond exhausted.
This is by far the longest we've ever done. It's almost 2 hours.
And I'm starved. I haven't eaten anything, and I just I gotta go, man. I gotta pull the plug on this puppy, man. I'm sorry, guys, but it's gotta end.
All right. On that note, thank you for listening to us. Next week, this Sunday, Walking Dead comes back, and we'll be back to yap about it next week.
I think we've done a better job with Fear. Getting the podcast done a little earlier and getting it posted a little earlier, and we'll try to continue that with as we head into the regular season of the show.
Yep. All right, Kurt's got to go eat before he passes out.
Thank you, guys.
Let us know what you think on the Facebook page, and we'll be talking at you next week. Bye bye.
Bye bye.